me about it. Come on, let's talk about it. Change up the things you see. Open your mind to possibilities. Find your power, passion, and your purpose. You know it's time for you to walk in greatness. Let's murder mediocrity. Slay your goals, live out your dreams. Right now, inspirational perspective.
Well, you'll notice that the show is subtitled today, "Why is the gym empty already?" Right, so let's just kind of back into this. Let's back into this. Friday, I'm at the gym. I'm going through my routine. Round 1, play basketball. Round 2, go hit the weights. And by the way, the security guard at the gym says, "You're insane, man." And by the way, I want to, but hold on. Am I insane? Or is he who works security at a gym he doesn't use insane? Here's the thing, right? Whatever we do, whatever we believe is based on our philosophy, on your personal philosophy. My personal philosophy says I can do this, and so I do. Someone who's looking from the outside in, if his philosophy is I can't do any of it, then of course somebody who has a 2-part regimen to a workout seems insane, doesn't line up with his philosophy. Nothing insane about it, just different philosophies. One of the things I want to talk about today is the root of your philosophy, like your personal philosophy and what it is that you think about and how you think about it. The actual title for today's show is How to Make 2023 Your Miracle Year. We'll get to that in a moment after we finish uncovering the deception right in our face in these months of the year. So let me ask you all a question. Matter of fact, turn on our day's mic. Let me ask you all a question. Why would the creators of the calendar, the individuals who established how we operate, why would they blatantly rearrange how the months work? Why would they do that? Like any ideas like that come to you all's mind? You all are forced to listen to me on a regular basis, right? Why do you think that is? Why is Octo, which we celebrate as the 10th month, it actually means 8, right? Why is the 8th month the 10th month in the calendar year? Anybody? Just think about it. Give me a phone call. Give me a phone call if you have a philosophy. But what comes up for you all? Now, let me give you a clue. Some time ago, I did a show on cycles. You might recall this show where I talked about that the earth has cycles. Things come alive and things die. And that as human beings, we are a part of this cycle. Let me give you an example. More people pass away during the quote-unquote holiday season, right, than any other time, right? So if a person's battling an illness, etc., they're more likely to pass away in the fall, which is a cycle, right? It's a death cycle. It's an earth-death cycle. I want you to really get this, because this is going to align with what we're talking about today in terms of goals. It's an earth-death cycle, right? So then, get this. By December, January, February, everything is dead. Everything is dead already. Right? All right, what you got, Justin? What's coming to mind now?
Okay, does April showers bring May flowers? Like beginning of spring?
That's the cycle of life. So why do you think they rearrange this? What do people do at the beginning of every year, typically?
Try to fulfill their resolutions.
Oh, they want to do new things.
And so it dies.
During the dead cycle.
Yeah.
I really want you all to get this. They want to do new things. Now, mind you, I taught a master class, but my job is to support you and help you, right? So let's pull the cover off this. They basically are telling you, oh, this is the time to do new things. Everything's dead. Now don't go abandon your goals yet. I'm giving you some insight into why it's so difficult right now. I'm just giving you some insight. All right? So, when you're trying to bring something alive in your life, the cycle that the earth is in, the vibration of the earth is death. Everything is cold and still. My wife and I were having this conversation. She was like, well, what about in tropical areas? I'm like, well, they're going through a cycle too. Most of them are going through a rainy season, right? All you got to do is watch the animals. The animals are behaving differently even in tropical climates during the death cycle, whenever their death cycle is. For instance, in Australia, it's in our summer. Okay? In the southern hemisphere, it's in our summer based on the rotation of the earth. This is all going to align. I promise you, stick with me. Just stick with me, okay? It's all going to align. So here in the Western Hemisphere, many people have set new resolutions. I can tell you, based on my experience at my gym, that those resolutions are already what? Dead. They're already dead. All right, so now, when spring comes and it's time for things to come alive, what do you think they are? They're already, so they don't birth anything. This is why most of us stay in the same cycle. Now, you might say, well, Linnell, why would you teach a master class on goal setting in the dead of death, in the dead of winter, in the dead of December, the last day of December? Here's why. Let me explain. Goal setting is a science. And based on the traditions that many of us are involved in, if I taught a goal-setting masterclass in spring, nobody would show up. Nobody would show up. Why? Man, it's hot outside. I'm not about to sit in the house and listen to him. So when is the best time to learn? Hear me out. When is the best time to learn? Right now. This is when, if you can learn who you are, how you respond, what's going on, become aware of how you handle your so-called resolution. Those of you who know me already know I don't believe in resolutions. I believe in goals. But if you begin to observe yourself in the cycle of death, and you learn some things about you, when it comes time to birth, when you move into the cycle of birth, you're going to be a beast. You will be a beast. If you can overcome resistance and procrastination right now, which, by the way, you can, because man has dominion over cycles. You just gotta observe them, because it will change your vibration. Let's be clear. And everything is based on vibration. If you go back to the show I did on the unknown power of words, right? The vibration of your words. But understand that everything around you is vibrating as well. And it's creating some level of a sound, whether you can hear it or not. All right, so all that being said, this is why many people, this has been a tough week on you. You said you were going to do something and you found it difficult. Let me tell you something about what's about to happen in the next 12 to 18 months. Listen closely. Now, for somebody who is your first time listening to me, like, how does brother know what's about to happen to the next 12 to 18 months? Those of you who listen to me on a regular basis, y'all already know I keep my ear to the ground. Okay? If you don't get clear about your program, you're going to fall into the programs that are coming. Linnell, okay, whatever. You're being dramatic. How do you know this? 2022, they began to introduce artificial intelligence at a whole new level. Y'all ain't even ready. Y'all not even. When I'm telling you, like today's show was so important. I want to do some Q&A too at some point. But today's show was so important. And when I say Q&A, for people who are working on goals, have questions about anything they're struggling with in the goal setting process. But in 2022, AI broke through in a way it hasn't broke through before. Now, I know this because I'm in forums and I work with people, connect with people, other thought leaders, etc., who are like, Linnell, check out this website. The impact that artificial intelligence is about to have in the next 12, mark my word. Now, mind you, artificial intelligence is a program. I've been talking about the need to program yourself. As a matter of fact, when I talked about goals in the masterclass, one of the things I talked about was that it's imperative that as human beings that we're running our own program, your own software program. How does that work? Well, whatever is happening in the mind. How do I run my own software program? My goals. I set intentions, and then I create my life and my program around those intentions and goals. So here's what's happening. You all saw just a piece of it. Remember the AI, the art people were posting? Notice I didn't post any. I didn't post none of that. Why? Because I read the terms and conditions. Here is the phase that is happening in artificial intelligence right now. I promise you this has something to do with your miracle in 2023. I promise you it has something to do with your miracle in 2023. Just keep listening. Here's what's happening. Artificial intelligence has broken through, and it's basically now beginning to learn. That's why they needed pictures. It's beginning to learn. This is how artificial intelligence works. I always say, don't trust me, go do your own research. But if you don't happen to have the time to do this research, then, I don't intentionally lie. Now, I'm not perfect, but I'm telling you, okay? Now, artificial intelligence is now in a learning phase. It's learning human behavior. Why would artificial intelligence, gentlemen, why would artificial intelligence need to learn human behavior? What do you think, Ade?
Usually you study the person.
His mic on?
Yeah.
It is, okay.
Eventually trying to control or... I don't know. That's
no. Go ahead. You were going somewhere. Where were you going? It's all right. It's all right. The audience knows that you weren't prepared for this. It's all right. Right. So go ahead.
Yeah, control, man.
Control.
Yeah.
Control what?
Eventually control our society, maybe the way how we see stuff, even though they kind of already are.
They want to control, so they don't want to just control stoplights.
Yeah, they want to control. Eventually get into our heads.
Oh, they eventually want to get into your head. You hear what Ade said? They want to get into your head. Mm-hmm. Quite literally, Ade.
Yeah.
Quite literally. Yeah. I'm going to tell you how in a minute. Now, Justin, what do you think about this?
I mean, I'm in agreement with Ade. I think the same thing. You gotta study what's in front of you in order to know how to dictate it or how it moves or how it functions. So I think a lot of it is just really them getting note of how we move, how we function, and then what it would do is it would move accordingly as opposed to how, like you said, whatever program is set in front of us, they would know they would have a step ahead of us by learning us.
So now, Right now, artificial intelligence is a step behind us. Right now. Hear me, like share this show. Right now. Right now, the human being has a step. That's it. On artificial intelligence. In the next 12 to 18 months, and by the way, let me be clear. It's already smarter than you. It's already smarter than me. It can do this show. Y'all like, you doing too much, Linnell. No. It can do this show. It can't do it with the personality quite yet. Right? But it can do the show. And this is the aim. Most of the artificial intelligence has been programmed through 2021. I spent time researching this last night. It's programmed through 2021. So what was the picture phase about? These trends. You got to be careful of trends, right? I'm always like, right? So then I'm like, well, these pictures look dope, man. You know, they look good, no doubt, right? This AI did a real cool, adjustment to the photos and, futuristic and space voyeur, all kinds of stuff, right? Saw friends do it. I'm like, man, so I had a little time one day. I'll go find an app. I text a friend, hey, what app you use? All right, go text it. I read the terms and conditions. I said, oh, no. Oh, no. You can't have my likeness. You can't have my likeness, because then y'all be confused. Well, Linnell is doing a show on Wednesdays now. And then I'm trying to sue, and they like, no, you gave up the rights to your likeness, back in 2021. Ooh. Somebody just had a moment, right? Like, they just had a moment. You gave up your likeness back in 2021 to the AI that is now performing your show. It just sounds ridiculous to somebody right now. They like, I don't see how. In the next 12 to 18 months, catalog this. Next 12 to 18 months, you're going to begin seeing things from artificial intelligence that's going to blow your mind. Now, I'm going to move on in a moment, but this is why it's so important that we begin programming our own minds, because they're already trying to figure out how to program your mind. And they're doing a good job already with our artificial intelligence. This is what makes it so scary, okay? Because you're already eating what they tell you to eat, buying what they tell you to buy, moving where and going where they tell you to go. All right, it's already happening. But now, once AI gets fully involved and it can mimic you, it can talk to you. This morning I got in the car. Thank the Creator for the blessings. Steering wheel was cold. I told the car, heat the steering wheel. Steering wheel is now being heated. That's artificial intelligence, right? That's comfortable. No, that's comfortable. You know what's uncomfortable? I get in the car. Good morning, Linnell. The temperature is 28 degrees. Typically, you like to heat the steering wheel. I've already turned it on. That's a little uncomfortable. Don't turn it on for me. Let me ask, right? Now, some of us, that sounds good to you. But notice how if it starts getting ahead of me, eventually it's going to start telling me what to do. And if I don't have my own program, this is why, man, if you can't, it is imperative that we begin to understand how to set goals and go after what we want. It is imperative that we learn how to set goals and go after what it is we want to create. If you don't learn how to create, I'm telling you, last night I was thinking about my children. I'm like, how do I protect them? Let me tell you why. One of the things that one of the artificial intelligence platforms that I play with can do is it can write a whole essay. Hold on. It can write a whole essay based on your language. It uses the way you ask the question. Hear me out. It uses the way that you ask the question, can you please write an essay on X, Y, and Z, blah, 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 right? It uses the way you ask the question to lay out its linguistic solution. Okay, why does this matter? Now, if I don't have to think, let me back up. The reason why it is so important for children to write things out is because they're learning how to problem solve and communicate. They're learning how to think outside the box. Once a child figures out all they have to do is learn how to ask questions, that means they no longer know how to think. In the next, let's say, my prediction is in the next 2 to 4 years, there's going to be a shift in education. Brother Tony just said exactly, schools are banning it all over the country right now. Right now, Brother Tony, mark my word. If you think the dumbing down of our society is a mistake, here's what's about to happen. It's going to get to a point where they teach children how to ask the right questions to artificial intelligence. They won't know how to figure it out and do the research. Which means those of us who are being intentional, right? Our children are going to think we're doing too much. Dad, why you got me writing this out? I'm just telling you. They're going to think we're doing too much because, son, I'm teaching you how to think. If we don't get intentional, you will be swept away. And here's the thing that hurts me the most. You know the community that is the most ill-equipped to handle this right now? The so-called black community. The African American community. Because I be thinking about y'all. I be thinking about our community. I'm thinking about the impact. I'm like, how is this going to help us? How is it going to hurt us? I'm thinking about all these different things. The one thing that I know for sure, that is you learn how to program yourself, nothing else can program you. And you'll then begin to notice other programs. You'll notice. That's why I didn't post. I was like, man, this AI trend, the pictures. Let me read the terms. Man, when I saw that they were like, oh, we own your likeness. You know how much money I spent on trademarks to only give it away for a picture? Sense does that make? Because I want a social media trend? Come on, man. But this is the thing. Somebody read that and thought no big deal because you don't even understand how powerful and unique you are. And that your likeness you're the only you. You're the only you that God made, and you shouldn't give that to anybody, and you should be offended if they ask. All right, so 2023, and now the gym is January 8th. January 8th, and now the gym is already returned to December norms. By the way, Monday was jumping. Hey, January 2nd, I walked into the gym. I saw all kinds of new faces. People had on brand new workout outfits. I was like, well, maybe they got that for Christmas. I mean, fresh. You know, I felt bad in my faded workout shirt. It's faded. I'm like, I should have did something different. I mean, they were looking good. Fresh shoes, fresh workout gear. Here's what I noticed, though. We're going to talk about it more in the second hour. I noticed people, they were going hard. And I'm like, hey, man, give yourself some grace. You ain't going to feel right tomorrow. That's a setup in itself. Give yourself some grace. I'm happy you're here. But this is a journey. You don't got to do it all right now. But see, when you create something that's not properly sourced, this is why the masterclass is so important. This is why goal setting is so important. This is why being a Slay Your Goals member is so important, because we source our goals from the right place. We know our why. We're clear on our vision. So we're playing a long game. Most folks, they didn't even know why they were at the gym. They thought they knew why. But it's a new year, new me, you know, blah, blah, blah. And so they went to the gym. Now, somebody said the gym was so crowded yesterday. I'm happy to hear that, Jerry. Believe it or not, I'm happy to hear it. My gym is already thinned out. My gym is already thinned out. It's like, it's thinned out. All right, so most people don't know why they're doing what they do. They say, oh, well, I'm going to lose 15 pounds. That's an outcome. That's a measure. This is what I taught during the master class. That's a measure. That's not a goal. That will not inspire you long term. 15 pounds does not come. Losing 15 pounds don't come overnight. So then when you're down 14, 13 pounds, are you going to be just as motivated? Or are you going to go, this is taking too long, and return right back to what you used to do? You have to know why. You have to be very clear, crystal clear on your why. And your why is not to lose weight. Your why is something else. Your why is something else. It's something bigger. It's something deeper. And most of us don't dig deep when it comes to creating our own program, which is why we readjust the program at the first sight of resistance. Here's the reason why I started there. And as Slay Your Goals members, you all will notice this. This is where I was going. I'm going to close the hour with this, and when we come back, we'll talk about how to create your miracle year. But the reason I started here is one of the things I do with the Slay Your Goals members is, if you all notice, most Slay Your Goals members, your goals aren't clearly distinguished. Like, I support you. I provide tips, and we begin to craft the vision. Slay Your Goals members who've been with me for a while, they've already done all this work. But the new folks, it's review for alumni, right? And then we walk them through, like, the vision setting process, etc. Typically, most of my Slay Your Goals members, they don't know their emotive goal statement till about March. That's when all their goals are set. Now, some people might think, you know, old Slay Your Goals members might be like, why are Linnell taking so long? It's on purpose. Because I know that when you create something in March, it's more likely to take deep root. Notice in corporate America that the goal setting process is in March. Anybody ever notice that in corporate America? Most of the time, if you're in corporate America, most of the time, the goals don't get situated until March, April for the year. Interesting. See, the folks that know, and the folks that don't stay in the dark. I got a question from Lisa. It was a good question. I'm just going to cover it real quick and cover my answer because I think the audience needs to hear this. Question was, is artificial assimilation a form of slavery or enslaving the mind? In the Bible, we begin the beginning of the year in March or April as a Hebrew. All right. So that was one, a question. And then the second part was a statement. The second statement, by the way, is true. And most ancient religions Most ancient religions started the year in March and April. This, like I said, the Gregorian calendar, this is all new within the last few hundred years. It's all new. Or maybe it's more than a few hundred. But it's all new. It's not how it was done. There has been, over time, a systematic shifting of ensuring that the common person loses more and more power. Why? Because there is no common person. There is a difference between those who know and those who don't know. And that's what this show is about. This show is about knowledge and ensuring that you know. That's why it's worth getting up at 7 a.m. All right? Now, is artificial assimilation a form, and it's talking about artificial intelligence, a form of slavery or enslaving the mind? It is to enslave the mind. Why do they want to enslave the mind? And this is my answer. Because the mind is where and how you create. The mind is the only part of you that can go to the past and into the future. We go into the future when we cast a vision, we gain clarity on the vision, and then we go create that. If I can enslave the mind and take away, or in some ways restrict or deter you from powerfully creating your future, I've got you. I've got you. And by the way, they've already done this. Most of us are stuck in the program. You can't control what you eat. You can't control when you sleep. You can't control what you wear. You can't control what you drive. And when I say you can't control what you drive, if you got money, then you buy what they tell you to buy. If you don't have money, then you definitely can't control, because you got to go economy. So you can't control it. And you have the capacity to control it as a human being. And so they're stripping you of your God-given rights. Let's talk about the secret of goal setting. The secret of goal setting is knowing your why. The secret of goal setting is knowing your why. The number one secret of goal setting is knowing your why. If you don't know your why, then your ability to properly set goals and stick, hear me out, and stick to those goals is limited. This is why this upcoming Saturday, I'm teaching a course on discovering and living your life purpose. Purpose is everything. Purpose is everything. Go ahead and put the flyer up. I'm going to put a link in Facebook so you guys can register. But discover and live your life's purpose, because this is why purpose matters, you all. If you don't know your purpose, I feel like our time is running out. I don't know why. I just get this sense that time is running out. Folks who don't get it won't get it. Already, I said this some time ago. I'm going to answer the question. I'm going to finish answering the question. But I said this some time ago. I've been on the air. February 23rd will be 10 years. Now, mind you, when I first got on the air, I had to build my audience. But then, about 7 years in, I hit a sweet point. This show was getting about 1,500 to 2,000 views on Facebook. Okay? The only way I can do that is if I pay now. If I don't pay, then it's between 400 and 500 views. They've slowed it down. The organic reach is just not there. Here's what, and this is why I tell you all to share it, and this is why we have to be intentional, right? And by the way, I've talked to other thought leaders who are sharing authentically, right, to support people, and nobody is seeing what I do. Nobody is, and if they've been at it as long as I have, they're saying the same thing. Nobody's seeing it anymore. And here's the thing, who am I gonna complain to? Facebook? I'm using their platform. And so what I do is typically I pay. All right, I'll pay. Right? But I'm just saying, this type of knowledge has been suppressed. Because I promise you, like the funny threads, the stuff that don't make sense, they don't have to pay a thing. They don't have to pay a thing. All right? Okay. So let's answer the question. You once said the mind fights change. Is the secret to goal setting getting your mind to view the change that you want to make as the norm and the always strange and to be avoided? Okay. So, again, when you think about the mind, I want you to think about the mind that this is how you create. This is how you create. And what I began to say is creation is spiritual. We as human beings, see, this is what we have to understand. We're multidimensional. There is an emotional side of you that people can't see that is incredibly powerful, that is sourced to your creation. There's a spiritual side of you that people can't see that is how you create. And then you have a physical aspect. Okay? We are multidimensional. What we do, this is what I teach in Slay Your Goals, we combine the emotional and the spiritual to create what's next in our lives. So when you do that, then anything that seems like it's fighting you in your mind is part of the program that should not be there. You're reprogramming. For instance, if you want to put a new program on a computer, typically what they do is you got to take the old program out. Well, unfortunately, human beings doesn't work that way. So whatever's in there, it has to be crowded out. And sometimes spiritually removed. What do I mean by spiritual removal? I was talking about porn. Right? So if somebody is hooked on porn and they set a goal that they want to, by the way, hold on. Let me do something real quick. Because somebody needs to hear this. I'm doing something real quick. Let me tell you what I'm doing. I'm going to be very clear. I'm going into an AI portal that provides answers. Let me tell you exactly how I'm doing this. I'm saying, what are the dangers of porn? I'm asking artificial intelligence right now. I want you all to, I want you to watch this. I'm asking artificial intelligence. This is not Linnell. Okay. What are the dangers? I got access to this platform. What are the dangers of porn? Uh-oh. Hold on. I can't believe this just happened. You got to be kidding me. Hold on. Okay, I'm going to see. What are the dangers of porn? Okay. I'm just reading what it says. There are a number of potential dangers associated with pornography. For one, pornography can be addictive and can lead to problems with impulse control. It can also be emotionally damaging. Remember I said emotion is part of how we create? Okay? So you're damaging part of your creative capacity. So it can be, somebody needs to hear this, like I put in my spirit. It can also be emotionally damaging, particularly if it portrays violence or abusive behavior. Some research has also suggested that heavy consumption of pornography may be linked to decreased satisfaction with one's real-life sexual relationships. Well, ain't that something? So now you can't even enjoy the real-life thing, right? And potentially, it can lead to infidelity. Additionally, pornography can reinforce harmful attitudes and behaviors, such as the objectification of and violence against women. It is important to consume, listen to this. It is important to consume media, including pornography, responsibly and with awareness of its potential effect. I didn't say this. This is the AI response. Listen to the last part. It told you. It is important for you to consume media, including pornography, responsibly and with awareness of its potential effects. All right, so let's go back to the example that I was giving, right, in terms of your ability to create powerfully. So I want to create something in my life, but I deal with pornography. I'm speaking to somebody right now. and I haven't been able to create powerfully in my life. That is where you need spiritual support, because pornography is a spiritual force. It's a demonic spiritual force. Now let's go back to something else. The yin yang is based on an old ancient symbol called the swastika. Now that's been reverted to something bad, right? It was done by Adolf Hitler. But for centuries, it was a revered symbol by Indian cultures, Buddhist cultures, African cultures, you name it. Now, the swastika, what you'll notice in the swastika is it has different angles. It's pointing everywhere, right? And what it's basically saying is that for every right, there's a left. Okay? This is based on universal laws. There are 12 universal laws. I'm going to do a whole show. Write this down, too. I'm going to do a whole show on the universal laws. It's time, like, we got to pull the covers off. Like, we got to understand what we're dealing with, okay? We'll do a whole show on the universal laws. But this is dealing with the law of polarity. Linnell, what does this have to do with spirituality? You have to understand that there's good and evil, period. We watch it in movies. We watch it all. You know, you're already enrolled in this. What most people don't want to hear is that there are spiritual aspects to it. But this is real life. And we live a multi-dimensional life. We're not just physical beings. We're spiritual beings. And so when something grabs a spiritual hold on you, what it does is it arrests your ability to create in your life. This is why New Year's come and go and you haven't done anything. There's a spirit, like you're under spiritual arrest. And so then when you're under spiritual arrest, then you have to be spiritually freed. This is where prayer, connection to the Creator, fasting, all these things come in, right? Because I'm denying my physical needs to create a spiritual awakening. This is how it's connected. All right, we learned that from Joshua. Once I program my mind, this is why goals are so important, you all, because goals are my 2023 program. Right? Goals are my life program. Linnell Harris sets the program for his life. So the reason we have the Slayer Goals coaching community is because part of my purpose is to help myself and others live the best life. What's the best life? A life that I create in conjunction with the Creator that's based on my purpose. Oh, I don't know my purpose. I'm teaching how to distinguish your purpose Saturday, January 14th. You can join the course. Go to LinnellHarris.com. By the way, these are investments that you have to make. Like you must make. You must make. Okay? So, now that I know my purpose, which is spiritual, becomes a part of my identity, I know what should be in my mind and how I should program my mind. Because I'm programming my mind to do the Creator's work in the earth realm. That's why we're here, to make an impact. Okay? So now I know that my goals are aligned with that. My health and well-being goals, my goals with my wife, my goals with my children. This is why I have a legacy goal, because it's not just about me. It's about the seeds I plant, including the literal seeds that I've given my wife, and she has done her diligence as a woman, right, to birth that seed and bring children into the earth as our family, right? All of that, there's an intention for. There's a vision for. And if you don't have a vision, well, what does the scripture say? 29:18. My people perish for lack of vision, but he that keepeth the law is happy. We talked about this, okay? So, he that keepeth the law. This is why you keep the law, to keep your mind free. When the mind is free, you can create powerfully. This notion that you can do anything. Let me hit on something real quick. This notion that you can do anything without consequence is a setup. This notion that, especially in the Christian community, that the best way I heard it put is that, let me put it this way. Ide, you work for me, right? Okay, Ide is the director of production. And he, one acknowledgement to you, Ide, 2022 was an amazing year. And we couldn't have done what we did without your support. I want to say that.
Thank you.
All right. Now, if I didn't pay Ide this week, and Ide came to me, you gonna pay me? Oh man, I'm so sorry, but I still didn't pay. I want y'all to hear me real good, because I think sometimes we play the creator. We play the creator like he's a gump. I didn't even mean to go into this, but this is part of how you create a miracle in your life. You got to have integrity. And personal integrity is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about your personal relationship with the creator right now. Personal integrity. You want to create powerfully, then it says, seek ye first the kingdom. I had somebody put that in the text. Oh, Linnell, you teaching all this stuff, but seek ye first the kingdom. I'm like, I agree with you. I completely agree. What is seeking the kingdom? Seeking the kingdom is seeking alignment with the creator. Alignment with the creator means that whenever I'm out of sync, I repent. Ide, I'm sorry I didn't pay you. But then what do? I pay him. If I go week over week doing the same thing, Ide is not, are you as wise? Is this mic on? Are you as wise as the creator?
No.
Are you as all-knowing as the creator?
Not at all.
Can you see my heart?
No.
Okay. So what makes you think you're going to play the creator if I can't play Ide on his pay? If I can't play Ide, how long would you go working for me if I didn't pay you?
Not long.
Not long.
Not long. Yeah.
And then we wonder why we have no power in our lives. It's like, I'm going to stop watching porn. I'm going to stop doing this. I'm going to stop cheating on my wife. I'm going to stop. And you wonder why you have no power in your life? And then a preacher is telling you, it's okay. All you got to do is repent. The preacher playing you because he wants you to keep coming. And you playing yourself. It don't work like that. It don't work like that. It don't work. It don't even make sense. Ide wouldn't work for me. What makes you think the almighty, all-knowing creator? Well, his grace. His grace. But he ain't no punk. Come on, man. All right. Personal integrity. I wasn't even supposed to talk about that. Somebody mad too. I ain't turned on the show for this. I just want to hear about goals. Well, this is all a line. All right. I When I think about miracles in my life, my miracle year, I had, I can look at a couple of miracle years in my life. 2013, 2015 are 2 years in particular where I'm like, miracles took place. Miracles took place in my life. I'm going to go into that in a moment. But here's what I want you to understand. The work that prompted the miracle started in 2010. I want you to get this. For somebody because we live in, to Gino's point, a microwave culture, we don't want to do work. And as we listen to the rest of the show, I want you to begin thinking about not just what you can transform in the next 90 days, because that's important. That's important. Like, what could you, if you became a Slayer Goals member, if you became a Slayer Goals member recently, if you're not a Slayer Goals member and you decided to do it, how could that program support you in the next 90 days? The next 90 days. But then I want you to think about what could you create 3 years from now if you began creating transformational change in a series of 90-day increments? So in 3 years, what could be created? Like, okay, and by the way, we're going after one thing at a time. We're just going after one thing at a time. We ain't going after much. We're going after one thing at a time. So let me give you some examples of what I mean. For some of us, it might be well-being. And often what happens is we bite off more than we can chew. Like, well, I want to lose, 50 pounds by the end of the year. All right, that's cool. But what could, like, if you broke that down into just 90 days, in the next 90 days, what could you create? In the next 90 days, what could you create? And so that might be just 10 pounds. All right, go after that 10 pounds. Don't worry about the 50. Just go after the 10 pounds. It could be in your relationship. I can't stand her. We barely talk. Okay, can you get to a point where you all are dating again? Spouses. Right? Maybe somebody's not in relationship. It was like, all right, in the next 90 days, could you be dating the person that you end up with? Like, think of it in 90 days. And then where would that take you 3 years from now? You can have a child. You can have a family in 3 years. So I want to be clear when I talk about miracle years, this is not something that happens overnight. This is something that takes place through consistency and work with intention. All right. So how do you make 2023 your miracle year? For some of us, it might be the year the seed was planted. I want to be very clear about that. Now, for others, you've been at this. You've been at this, and this is your time. Like, this is your time. And again, looking at numerology again, 2023 is a significant time. All right, significant year. So this is your year. Now, as you begin to craft out the year, what's incredibly important, I said this before, is that you can see it, that you are tracking your vision, that you are tracking your vision, that you know what you want to create and you know what you want to do. So I want to give you some examples from my own life. And this is what I mean by it takes time. And then for those of you who you feel like, okay, this is the year, you're listening because this is the year, then I'm going to share with you how you really, truly make this the year, like the pivotal foundational year. In 2010, I remember it like it's yesterday. I'm in El Salvador, and I'm headed to the airport after doing some work. And I get this urge in my gut, like a spiritual unction, that I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do anymore. Like there's something new, there's something different that you're supposed to do. And at this time, I'm telling myself, like, well, you got a job that, people would love to have, and maybe you're just being a bit much, like you should, you need to think about this, Linnell. But there was something spiritual that was urging me forward. It's like, you need to move forward. So, and follow my purpose. Now, mind you, when this happened, I was leading global operations for a company, traveling the world. Like I said, I was in El Salvador when I had this unction. And it felt weird to feel dissatisfaction with the work I was doing. But it didn't feel right. Like, it's time for me to go to another level. So I began to get thoughtful and prayerful about what should be next. And in getting thoughtful and prayerful about what should be next, I began to distinguish that it was time for me to take on a new level of purpose. Now, some of you might remember when I talked about, my purpose itself is to help myself and others live the best life possible. And for the first 10 years after distinguishing my purpose, I worked on me. And it started to become very clear that my time of working on only me was over, and it was time for me to start sharing with other people. And I had to make a decision. And like, I want to be very clear that when you talk about going into a miracle year or creating a miracle in your life, it requires first a decision. You have to make a decision that you're going to change something in your life. It has to be a clear-cut decision and commitment. By the way, it always comes in the form of work. This is why a lot of people are not experiencing the miracles, aren't experiencing the transformation that they want to experience. Because when we experience change, or we experience, we want to experience the miracle, what we don't want to have to do is work. We don't want to have to work. I think a lot of us, we relate miracles as things that happen to us versus us creating the happening. Let me give you some examples from the good teacher Joshua. Almost typically before healing, he would ask a question. He would ask a question. And then there are other times where, like, he actually made, like, well, then come here. Like, you got to do some work. Like, you got to come over here. Like, you got to make it seen. And let's not forget, for all the miracles that he performed among multitudes, folks had to show up. So then the question is, are you willing to show up for your miracle? Are you willing to show up for yourself and do the work? What was my work? My work at the time was just writing a blog consistently once a week, sharing what the Creator had given me, sharing my experiences of leadership and sharing my perspective. 2011, I started Inspirational Perspective. And it was July 4th, 2011. 4th of July was the first time I hit enter to publish a blog. And that was scary work. I think about it now. And I just want to be clear, right? That was 12 years ago at this point. Well, 11 and a half. But that's when I started my work. I started my work of giving back. While I'm doing this, I began looking for, if I'm going to support other people, I need a new level of support. And in 2012, I got exposed to coaching. Once again, I had to make a decision. Now, let me share a little bit about who I was. In 2010, who I was, I think in 2010, I just want to give you a perspective. I was a pretty routine drinker. Like, I'm going through my health and well-being. I drank on a regular basis. Whiskey was my drink of choice. And I could drink. Not on the, like, I was a social drinker, but I could get it in. Like, if we going out, I could get it in. Okay. In the realm of relationship, my relationship with women was completely out of integrity. I think at the time I probably was dating like 2 or 3 people at one time. And because of my travel schedule, it was easy. I had a girlfriend in Panama. I had a girlfriend in Chicago. I'm just laying it out for you. Like, this is who I was in 2010. Okay. And then depending on what state I was in, I had a situation there. All right. So, like, I was in New York all the time. I had a situation in New York. I was in Miami all the time. I had a situation in Miami. That was my relationship with women. In terms of working money, I had a great job. I was making well over 6 figures, but I couldn't hold it. So as much money as I was making, that money was going right back out. And I was single. Think about that. I'm single. It's just me. I'm making over 6 figures, and 6 figures is coming in, 6 figures is going out. I mean, think about that. So my integrity across the board was out. I knew my purpose, though. I want to be very clear here, okay? I knew my purpose, though. And spiritually, I was completely disconnected. I could tell you in 2010, I wonder if before I had this spiritual unction, like, I might have prayed 7 times in the whole year. Y'all follow? Okay. Now, I get this spiritual unction. We're talking about creating your miracle. Creating your miracle. And I got desires. I desire to be at the top of my game in my health. Most of us do. I got desires. It's hard to do when, you drinking and carousing and doing things like that, right? So I had this little, I had a little fold over my belt, right? In relationship, I desired to be in a monogamous, loving, intimate, connected relationship. I wanted to have a family. I had no clue how. None. No clue how whatsoever. All I knew how to do was what I was doing. And by the way, I did it well. I want to be clear. Okay? I did it well. And when it came to money, I wanted to, create more wealth. And it, you got to understand, somebody out there listening to me, they completely get it right now. What it feels like to make money and not have money is a whole different feeling from not making money and not having money. That's a whole, like when you making money and you like, where the money going? And mind you, I had investments and things like that, but the amount of money that was going out for a single man was criminal. Criminal. But it's because I was out of integrity. I was out of personal integrity. We talked about this. And spiritually, I was completely disconnected from the Creator. Completely disconnected. 3 years later, I want you all to hear this. 3 years later, completely transformed my health and well-being. In 2012, I cut my relationships with women, period. Right? See, I said, if you want your miracle, it's going to take some work. If you want your miracle, a lot of people will look at 2023 Linnell and say, oh, man, that's amazing. He's got it made. Nah, man. Like, it took work to create the miracle. Brothers, I had to completely sever myself. Cut it off. Because I'm like, man, it's too crowded. I can't even think. And I tell folks all the time, like, I remember waking up and being like, because somebody was there with me. And I'm like, how do I get rid of them? I remember those days. And I was tired. I wanted to transform that, but it took work. Okay, I'm going to completely cut this area of my life. I'm cutting it off. No more women. With money, it was like I couldn't even control it. And this is why I get where people are. I was trying. I couldn't control it. I didn't get my arms around money until I had support from a coach. And this is why I hired a coach in 2012. Spiritually, I was confused. I went from being disconnected to confused. Because now I want to do something, but I don't know what to do. And this thing that I see people doing don't make no sense to me. When I go to church, it don't make no sense to me. When I listen to the preacher, he ain't making sense to me. Okay? So I was confused. Fast forward 2013. 3 years later from 2010, my life is completely transformed. But I had to do some work. 2013 was my miracle year, the beginning of my miracle. And it's beginning of my miracle in that I began to take charge of my health and well-being. After having cut women out of my life, I met my wife. And by the way, it wasn't perfect. It wasn't perfect. I want to be clear, right? I'm not talking perfection here. But I had intentions that I was honoring those intentions. But I met my wife April of 2013. And I was ready because I had done the work. And I had made the cuts. See, some folks, they praying for, like, why can't I find my man? I'm like, because your bed is too crowded. Uh-oh. but don't nobody know about him. Oh, but the vibration is there. Okay? It takes work. Then there's a reason the feed went out on this. All right? With money, I had to trust somebody else. I had to trust. Remember I told you people get funny with money? I had to trust somebody else in conversations about my money so they can help me gain control of my money. Like Coach needed support at that time, okay? Because it was coming in fast and furious, but it was going out the same way. And then all of a sudden in 2013, I began to have this spiritual awakening. I got on the air for the first time in 2013, coming up on 10 years now. All these things began to happen in my life when I began to do the work and make sacrifices. Sacrifices for the big picture vision. The first step always starts with some level of intent, a decision. And this morning, what's the decision that's bridging the gap between where you are now and the life that you intend to live? Every miracle starts with the decision. What's that decision for you? Will 2023 be your miracle year? Is this your time? Because I'm afraid that if some of us, we don't make the shift right now, the next wave that's coming, I talked about it at the beginning of the show, the next wave that's coming, it will just sweep us away. We'll be caught in the current. Is this your time? What decision? Only you know. Nobody else knows. Nobody else knows. Only you know what that decision is. Is it around your health? Is like, are you right on the cusp, like of going down a path that will lead to physical decay? Like your body's already there, but maybe this is it. For somebody else, it's relationship. You've been doing this too long. You've been playing the same games too long. Now it's time for you to make a powerful decision. Maybe it's your work. Maybe it's your money. For all of us, it's the spiritual connection. Like, how connected are you? Is it time for you to make a decision like, hey, this is where I need to start? Is it time for you to give back to the Creator the way that He's given to you? I'm going to say this in closing. Most of us have control issues. You're scared to give up control to the Creator. But when things go sideways, that's who you call. What sense does that make? What if, just what if, you aligned yourself in the beginning so you don't have to call when things go wrong? He's right there. Hey, my inspired peoples. Linnell Harris here, certified ontological coach and trainer. I'm so excited that you're watching the channel. By the way, did you know you can catch the show live at 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. every Sunday morning? You can. All you have to do is go to my Facebook stream, Coach Linnell Harris, catch the stream live, or you can listen to the radio show via iHeart at WVON 1690 AM. But since you're here, if you love the content, I ask that you share it, like this particular video, and subscribe to the channel. I hope you're having a great day.